The Crandon Mine in northeast Wisconsin, presented by Olivia Olatunji.
Sanaa Rouser.
And Zoe Richelieu.
According to the Environmental Protection Agency, environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the developmental, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. The EPA's number one goal for environmental justice is to create access to equal protection from environmental and health hazards. The EPA also creates initiatives to provide access to decision-making processes in all communities. In order to fully understand environmental justice, there are a couple of vocabulary and concept terms that are necessary to know. For example, environmental injustice, according to the National Library of Medicine, is the inequitable and disproportionately heavy exposure of poor, minority, and disenfranchised communities to toxic chemicals and other environmental hazards. Another term one must know in understanding environmental justice is environmental racism, the discrimination based on one's race associated with the environmental decisions making of one's community. Also, Superfund sites. Handex describes it as any site in the U.S. that has been contaminated by hazardous materials and identified by the EPA as a candidate for cleanup. Next, environmental hazards. A substance in the environment that is negatively impacting communities' human health, animal health, or the environment it's in. Environmental justice movement. A movement in the 1980s that addressed the disparities communities of colors face pertaining to environmental health hazards. Inequality, the unfair treatment of a person or group or particular disparity.
After finding a vast area of land in 1975 in Crandon, Wisconsin, the Crandon Mining Company, partnered with Exxon, wanted to make a huge copper and zinc mine near the Mole Lake Sokoyagon Chippewa Reservation. They stated that they would use 865 acres of the Wisconsin North Woods, which consists of forests, numerous wetlands, and rivers. They said that they believe they can operate an acid mine without polluting or causing environmental threats. However, the tribal leaders of the Mole Lake Sokoyagon community say the company will not fulfill their promises. Also, they state that the mine will ruin a way of life that is dependent on clean water and food. The company will use most of their natural resources and leak harmful chemicals. Small business owners among the tribal communities argue that the project could wreck a healthy rural community. This would be considered an environmental justice-related issue because it involves a multi-million-dollar company wanting to exploit natural resources from a rural native community to create a mine. After that mine is created, it can result in harmful chemicals leaking to clean water in agriculture and can be dangerous for the Chippewa Reservation.
The demographic of people that are living near the Mole Lake Sokoyagon Chippewa Reservation are the Sokoyagon Chippewa Community Tribal members, which are also known as the Lost Tribe. There are currently 1,377 people in that tribe living near the site where the Crandon Mining Company is planning to mine. According to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, the Sokoyagon Chippewa Community Tribal population breaks down as the following. Individuals under the age of 17 are 348, individuals between the ages of 18 and 64 are 967, and individuals who are 65 years old and above, there are 62 members in the society. The Sokoyagon Chippewa community are known for their savviness with technology, and O'Connor says that they continue to protect the resources for their environment for the future generations. They also invest in restoration projects and use modern education teachings for the younger generation. The Sokoyagon Chippewa community is very advanced with governmental and social practices. For instance, they have their own tribal government. The Sokoyagon Chippewa community is governed by 6 council members, and the council meets monthly or as required. They make decisions by majority rule, and elections are held annually for council members not holding officer positions. Also, officer elections are held every 2 years.
The key contributors involved are the Mole Lake Sokegon community, the Crandon Mine Company, and other Indian/non-Indian tribes. The Mole Lake Sokegon community are concerned with surface water and groundwater contaminations, including the chemicals' effects on rice cultivation. They also highly oppose this plan due to previous environmental threats from acid mines, which a few are now Superfund sites, including in Iron Mountain, California. The Crandon Mine Company, on the other hand, state that the mine is environmentally safe and they can bring revenue and increase employment. They also have paid millions of dollars on studies and environmental impact statements. However, other Indian and non-Indian tribes support the Mole Lake Sokegon community, and they are concerned with the degradation of ecological and cultural resources. And lastly, they're concerned with the stream and river contamination.
The Native American tribes utilized a number of strategies to gain support for their cause and combat the progress of mine construction. One strategy that they used was a 12-day speaking tour by the Wolf Watershed Education Project, which took place at various locations along the Wolf and Wisconsin rivers. This culminated into a rally. Earlier in the struggle, a rally was held at the state capitol in Madison, Wisconsin, which took place in March of 1914 and drew more than 400 people, calling for the DNR to expose the consequences of the growing mine district in their area. Another strategy was to spread information about the project on the internet. The Menominee tribe constructed an informative web page on the proposed mine, which included a discussion of the environmental, socioeconomic, and cultural effects of the proposed mine, in addition to the consequences of acid mining in general. Drafting letters to congresspersons was also a method of petition that the tribes encouraged. The EPA, Wisconsin DNR, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers were all reached with the intention of voicing opposition to the mine. Currently, the Menominee and other affected tribes are working with these regulatory agencies as well as with the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, primarily on the technical aspects of the mine. The tribes have been using federal and private grants, along with casino revenue, to file lawsuits and hire experts to evaluate the mine. Using information on past acid mines as evidence, the tribes hope to emphasize the possible environmental and socioeconomic consequences that may ensue. In search of resolution, the EPA, Wisconsin DNR, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers are reviewing the environmental impact statements, technical documents from the Crandon Mining Company, as well as additional information from the tribes. A decision on whether the mine will be constructed will not be made for another 2 years, making a final solution to the struggle a facet of the future.
In order to address the issue that the tribe is facing, there are a couple of steps the tribal members and tribal leaders of the community should take to combat the harmful initiatives of the Crandon Mining Company. For instance, the people of the community should organize a petition to protest the initiatives of the Crandon Mining Company. They should help to spread awareness of the concerns of the people and get the attention of state and national leaders who have a bigger voice to stop the CMC's efforts. They should also try to write a letter to the CMC. The letter will lay out a few alternatives and consequences of the mining expedition they are trying to achieve. Lastly, they should connect with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. To work with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, a larger organization who is known for promoting economic opportunities for Native tribes, they can strategize and get the attention and funding they need to stop the CMC.
Pertaining to the environmental justice movement, this environmental movement is a broad, multiracial, rural-based grassroots alliance that has brought together Native American nations and sport fishing groups, environmentalists and unionists, and retired local residents and T-band students. This movement does not simply address endangered species, but endangered Native cultures and endangered rural economies as well. Through this movement, Native Americans and non-Indians who face potential rural endangerment have now provoked legal support to ensure the present and future safety of their environments.
Here are our references. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and I hope you understand the importance of the initiatives and harmful actions that the Crandon Mining Company is trying to achieve.